Alright guys, today we are going to be ranking every single Chapter 6 mini Season 1 weapon and item and doing a review on it. First, we are going to do the review, so let's get right into it. Alright, so in my opinion, the gameplay for this season was pretty good. I feel like it got a little bit stale, like here and there, but I feel like they kept it pretty live with the updates, and I think the gameplay was probably the strong suit of the season. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Tell me you guys think on the gameplay. I thought the gameplay was pretty good. And then, yeah, let's get to the next thing. So, yes, now we got the Battle Pass. And first skin, Jedi Evie. I thought this was a pretty solid skin. I'm going to have to give the skin itself a 7 out of 10. And then we also had her other version, which was called... We also had Sith Evie. I thought this version was maybe just a tad bit better. I'm going to give this version a 7.3 out of 10. Tell me what you guys think. I thought this was one of the better skins in the past. And then the next skin was Poe Dameron. This is the definition of a mid skin. I'm going to give this one just a 6.5 out of 10. I feel like this was like probably the middle skin of the Battle Pass, but like it was pretty solid, but like it wasn't that great either. So yeah, pretty solid, but not terrible. So yeah, let's get to the next skin. There was also Resistance Poe, which I thought was just a tad bit worse. I'm going to give this one a 6.2 out of 10. So yeah, I thought this was so far the worst skin yet, but it wasn't terrible either. So yeah, let's get to the next skin. The next skin, which I think this version was pretty good, but its second version was we got, hold on, let me just get to the actual skin, I think, here, but there we go. We got the Wookiee Team Leader. I thought the first version of the skin was probably the best skin yet in the past. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. But then its second version, I think, was a little bit worse. Let's see what it was. Oh, yeah, for sure. This is the skin that I like hated the most. This skin right here, Tarful Team Leader. I give this one a 5.5 out of 10. I thought it was, like, pretty bad, honestly. I did not really like the tar theming, and, like, I just feel like they could have done a little bit better with it. And then for the Team 100 skin, we had Emperor Palpatine. Besides the glitch, this was a pretty solid skin. I'm going to have to give it a 6.6 out of 10. Not too shabby of a skin. And then we had one more skin, which I believe was the secret skin. Yes. In my opinion, the secret skin was probably the best skin in the pack. We had General Grievous, which in my opinion is a 7.8 out of 10. And then his second style, I would also give a 7. I'm going to actually give his second style an 8 out of 10. So overall, this Battle Pass receives a 6.8 out of 10. Season's currently standing at a 6.9 out of 10. Let's get to the next stage. Alright, I'm not even going to record because I can wrap this up pretty quick. I feel like the updates were pretty good, but the content was... The content receives a 6 and the updates receive a 7.5, overall a 6.75, which means it's now standing at just around a 6.8 out of 10 overall. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with the other stuff. Alright, so personally for the other stuff, I don't think we had really much to share. And honestly, the other stuff, I feel like the stuff we didn't cover, I'm going to have to give a 6.5 out of 10. Giving the season a finishing score of a 6.65 out of 10, my lowest yet, but trust me, it won't be my lowest overall. And now we have the blaster ranking, the second part of the video. Here we go. In my personal opinion, just barely last, just by a tad. At number 14 for all the weapons / blasters, we have the Wookiee Bowcaster in dead last. It pains me to put this one in dead last because, surprisingly, they actually put out some pretty solid weapons for Star Wars Galactic Battle. Yeah, let's just get on with the next one. Nothing really to say. It's a not a terrible weapon, but it's not great either, so it explains its place in last. Let's get to the next one. Guys, I just accidentally cut off my video, so if you see like a little bit of a glitch, that's why. But then at number 13, we have the CR2 Blaster. This was kind of the fast-firing SMG. This thing had way too much recoil to handle, in my personal opinion. But overall, it wasn't a terrible weapon. I would say it's just a worse version of the rapid-fire SMG. That kind of sums it up perfectly. All right, and then at number 12, we have the E11 Blaster. In my opinion, this one was just a tad bit better This was definitely the second worst SMG though. It's kind of like the mid. This is kind of like the AR SMG hybrid for the season. It's as fast as an AR, does the damage of an AR, but it's still qualified as an SMG. So I think it's kind of a nice little hybrid there. But I think there is a better hybrid that is much higher up on this list that we will get to later in the video. Alright guys, here comes my first hot take. There's going to be, I think, two more hot takes. But at number 11, I got the DLT-19 Blaster Rifle. In my opinion, this was far and away the worst assault rifle in the game. Wasn't even close to that recoil. I mean, I felt like it was trying to be like the Fury and the Hammer assault rifle at the same time, but it just was not working at all. It was doing less damage, was slower, and had more recoil. And like, I feel like it was trying to be that Fury Hammer hybrid, but it just wasn't succeeding at it. And that's why the placement of this is so low, in my opinion. So tell me what you guys think on the DLT-19. I'm curious in the comments below. But then number 10, we have the BARM ST12 Scatter Blaster. Kind of just like a weaker version of the TAC shotgun. It just wasn't quite there for me, in my opinion. And the other two shotguns are both significantly better and are much, much higher up on this list. Yeah, so we'll see those shotguns a lot later, but this one just could not compete with them. Maybe in zero build, but I come from a builds perspective, and in builds, this is pretty god-awful, but in zero build, I can see this thing being pretty useful. In my opinion, guys, one of the most satisfying weapons of all time. At number 9, we have the Westar 34 Blaster Pistols. I feel like these things were pretty good, and then I kind of used them less and less throughout the season. In my opinion, they could have been a little bit stronger on the damage side, and they didn't have great range. They didn't do a lot of damage to structures, which explains my ranking for this video. But tell me what you guys think about the Westar 34 Blaster Pistols, because this is what I think about them. Alright, anyway, in the meantime, at number 8, at number 8, so we have my second hot take for the video. And guys, here's the key, not including the Mythic. We have the Amban Sniper Rifle at number 8. Now, if it was just the Mythic, this thing might be in the top 3, but since it is including that blue, purple, and gold rarity, this pushes this thing down massively. It is not even doing 100 damage to the body in the purple variant. It is so very weak in those blue-purple variants that it kind of just hurts this weapon overall as a whole. So yeah, they kind of ruined this weapon in my personal opinion. The melee attack is still really cool though, I'm not gonna lie. Like no other weapon does that in my opinion. That's pretty cool. Alright, then at number 7, dead center middle of the list, my final hot take for the vid is, in my opinion, this is the DL44 Blaster Pistol. Now guys, I kind of forgot about this thing having a Mythic, and if I remembered, I would have actually ranked them separately. But yeah, since the Mythic aiming down does significantly more damage than the base version, so in my opinion, the Mythic would be 2 spots higher. So this would be number 8, and then I would put the Mythic at number 6, but since I forgot, it's here. But yeah, just so you know, I think the Mythic is a solid bit better than its base version. But yeah, this is still a pretty good overall pistol. I think it does receive a little bit of glaze, but overall it's still a pretty good pistol. Alright, my opinion on, not quite a hot take for this video, but this will be including the Mythic version. And number 6, just missing the top 5, is the F11D Blaster. This thing is definitely the best SMG that was in the Galactic Battle, but in my opinion, it couldn't compete against the 2 higher assault rifles that will be listed shortly in this video. In my opinion, this is just the better version of the AR SMG hybrid than the E11. It's what the E11 wants to be, but can't quite be. That's kind of the best way I can phrase it. Tell me what you guys think about the F11D. But those are my thoughts on it. Let's get to the top 5. My opinion, top 5, just barely beating out the F11D. I got the wannabe hollow twister, the A280 CFE Blaster Rifle. This thing is insanely accurate. I remember being like, holy crap, this is the new hollow twister. I used it a little bit less and less, and then I finally took the next weapon on this list, the other assault rifle. In my opinion, it's just a tad bit better just because of its insanely higher damage and DPS. But yeah, the mythic version I will be including, but yeah, the mythic version definitely pushed it up a spot because it increases the headshot damage, which I feel like is pretty major for this weapon, because I feel like you're going to be hitting a lot of headshots because it's a scoped weapon. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the A280 CFE blaster rifle. That is a mouthful, but tell me what you guys think on that weapon, alright? And then at number 4, the Galactic Battle version, the DC-15 blaster rifle. Just barely beating out the A280. In my opinion, this was the best assault rifle in Galactic Battle, just by a tad. It was you could really go either way. But in my opinion, this thing does a lot more damage and has a very similar fire rate, just 0.05 slower. And for example, in the legendary version, the A280 does 33. This thing does 44, and it's just 0.05 fire rate slower, so the DPS is going to be significantly higher. Also, its structure damage is significantly higher. In my opinion, this is both builds, and I feel like zero build, you could make the argument for the A280 and probably the DLT to be a little bit higher up on this list. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the DC-15. Tell me what you guys think on it. Let's get to the top 3. My opinion, I know you guys are going to be a little bad at me for this one, but I feel like I had to. Number 3, we got the Jawa Scatter Blaster, the thing that does the most damage of all time for just a singular gun. This thing is brutal, guys, but the reason why it gets pushed down, it has one shot, it takes a long time to reload, it is just a better version of the Dragon's Breath shotgun, and guys, it cannot one shot, even though it deals 179 damage to the body. It has a 1.2x headshot multiplier, I believe, which would mean that, hold on, let's check if that's right. Nope. All right, yeah, so my bad, guys, it actually has a 1.1 headshot multiplier, which means it only does 197 to the head max capacity. That is the reason why it pushes it down. If it could one pump, I'm not gonna lie, guys, this thing might be number 1, but not being able to one pump pushes this thing down just a little bit. All right, let's get to the top 2. I have a feeling I'm gonna have a lot of mixed opinions on this one. All right, and then at number 2, we have the ACP Scatter Blaster. This and number 1, and even number 3, you could go either way for all 3. These 3 weapons are insanely good. This is just, in my opinion, this is one of the, I would say I would take this over the Striker Pump, the Hammer Pump, and the Infiltrator Pump, but that would probably be it. And then I think it is worse than the Sentinel, Spaz, Havoc, and then Thunder. I feel like you could go, you could personally go either way. Yeah, this is just a really good shotgun. I mean, nothing really much more to say, but I think you guys are not going to be surprised when I yell out number 1. In my opinion, this thing dominated throughout the entire season. Alright, guys, and I think we all know what's coming. This will be including the Mythic version. We have the IQA 11 Marksman Rifle, guys. This is the last time you will ever see a DMR on the top of any list, unless it is a ranking all DMRs list, because this thing is the best DMR of all time. It is not even close. This thing, if you put it into this season, it would be the most used long-range weapon by far. Wouldn't even be close. This thing is insanely good, has a really good fire rate, really good damage. This is basically just a better version of every single DMR out there. This is just such a good DMR, I can't even express it. But yeah, those are my opinions on all Galactic Battle videos. Tell me what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.